Welcome to the one and only Robert Garcia Show.
Welcome to the Robert Garcia Show.
The one and only.
The one and only Robert Garcia Show. I'm sitting here with my cousin Rab, and on this subject we're going to be talking about morals.
Right. Or morals, ethics, and values. They all go together a little bit.
Of today?
Yeah.
Because these days there's a lot of things missing. And young and old people. And I don't know what happened. Is it the moon's getting too close to the earth, and what's going on?
Well, so my sister wrote up a couple of things that she did in an essay.
Some people say these are the last days. The Jehovah's Witnesses believe that these are the last days, and it's going to be the end of the earth. That's why things are getting a little haywire with all the homeless people, young and old, and more people smoking than you've ever seen before, with them vape cigarettes, and all different kinds of things are happening right now that have never happened before. That I, in my 40-something years, 53 years of being alive anyways.
Right. It's a pretty weird time.
It is.
People ain't the same, that's for sure.
If you look on the news, there's all kinds of homeless people and I've never seen that before, all over the Bay Area, and I can't believe it. I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's just I'm paying attention, or it's always been here, or it's just happening now. Some people say, well, it's because these are the end times. The Jehovah's Witness, and that's a religious group, they believe that these are the end times, and that's why things are going a little haywire. People are running around doing, unusual things.
Well, we wanted to get your take on something here, see where you're at.
Sure.
Because you're from a different era than people now. Got a totally different mentality.
Sure.
But
I can see that.
So my sister, she wrote a few of these little scenarios. She wanted to kind of get your take on what.
Sure.
What would you do? Morally, what do you think is right and wrong, right?
Okay.
So this first one, she wanted to give an example of. It says, right, there's a runaway train or a trolley, right? And down the...
Trolley's like what they have in San Francisco that takes people around in just that part of town or different parts of town.
Right.
And like the one we have here in Napa, that's not on train tracks. It's just drives people around. It's called...
Well, either or. We could say a train, so it's the tracks, and the trains run away, can't stop. And there's 5 people. There's 5 people, they're stuck on the tracks and can't get off in time, right?
And the brakes don't work?
The brakes don't work. But the only way to save them, it says here, the only way to save them from being killed is to pull the lever so the train goes down a different track.
Yeah, or switch tracks. I've seen that before.
But on that track, there's one worker that's stuck. So he's going to get killed.
If you switch tracks.
Okay. So on one track, it's already headed to 5 guys.
How fast is this train going?
Going fast enough. It's going to kill somebody.
Go 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's going 200 miles an hour.
Okay.
Do you pull the lever and save those 5 guys but kill the one guy? Or do you not hit the lever? What would you do in that scenario?
Well, Richard, I think everybody has different points of view.
Uh-huh.
If it came down to just myself sinking with the ship, like all good captains do.
Yeah.
They don't abandon ship. As far as the movies go, a good captain is supposed to go down with the ship. I would rather than have on my mind that I killed all them people or however many people that were on that track if I switched tracks. I'd rather take the chance of my train going off the rail and seeing if I was able to survive, rather than knowingly kill these one or however many people were in that car, knowingly that I killed those people and have that on my conscience. I'd rather take the chance and see if my train was going off the track to see if I was able to survive that by myself. That way I wouldn't be a murderer and kill these 2 or 3 people, whoever was in that boxcar.
Well, let's say that's a good answer.
Thank you.
But let's just say
Thank
you
you very
couldn't do it. Let's just say that it was down to the last second, man. Your only choice was to pull the lever or don't pull it.
Well, if I
You
can
had to
elaborate
kill
on
those
that,
5 guys.
all my
or switch it.
decisions are last second decisions. Have been all my life.
And what would you do though? What would, that last second? The only choices you have is you just keep going at the 5 guys, or you hit that lever knowing you're purposely going to go for the 1 guy.
I'd hit the lever and go for lesser amount of people, which would be the 1 guy and myself.
Okay, you'd be able to live with it though, knowing that you chose. Because I mean, I guess
Yeah.
ultimately, if you don't hit it, you chose to
Would you
not hit it,
rather
right?
kill 5 people or yourself and one other person? I would rather kill myself and one other person than be responsible for killing 5 people, and maybe they had families and they were never going to see their wives or their children again.
Right.
I'd rather kill myself. Well, I wouldn't rather kill myself because I don't want to die. I'm not going to commit suicide. Whoever gets hold of this tape, that's not what I meant. I'm not going to kill myself. They say if you kill yourself, you don't go to heaven. I'm going to heaven, baby. Eternal life. But so I'm not going to kill myself. But given the choice in the scenario that you just gave me, I'd rather kill less people than more people. That's
Okay.
If I had to.
What if we throw a twist on it?
If it was a train, run around.
What if that
runaway
one
train.
person was a pregnant lady, and the other one was 5 guys?
Oh.
Change it up a little.
Yeah, that kind of changes things. 5 smelly guys to 1 pregnant lady. I might go for killing the 5 guys and myself. You see, that lady is different in the sense that I respect life so much, and that unborn child has the rest of his life ahead of it. And these 5 guys have lived their life already.
And they got stuck on a track.
And they got stuck on a train, and they probably got smelly feet too. So I'd rather take out the guys and myself than that unborn child and that pregnant lady.
Yeah. Okay. So not so much the lady, but because of the baby, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's an unborn child. It's a life that hasn't been born yet into this world. And these 5 guys have lived their life already. And if I would have to weigh it out in just a couple seconds, that's how I would see it. And I would rather take out the guys and myself than this unborn child, this lady, than unborn child.
Let me put another little twist on this one, just because it's already written here, but another variation of this is, say that you're up on a bridge and the train's going under you, right? And it's just only the 5 guys on the track.
Is this a drawbridge or what?
No, this is a regular bridge, right? But you're next to a really big fat motherfucker, and you're like, and you know for sure if you push this fat guy off, the train hits him, it's probably gonna stop before it gets to the 5 guys. Would you push the guy off?
Oh, to stop the train?
Yeah. Would you push the fat guy off?
Well, if he stank really bad, and it was, and, you know, when I push him off to stop the train from killing those people.
Yeah. I mean, not
If
just
I
hitting the
knew that
lever
it would
no
stop
more.
the
You know?
train, yeah, and he stank, yeah.
Okay. No, I could dig it. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Lesser people for more people.
Well, it's hard to explain because I myself I'm thinking about it after you're like asking me to kind of like or getting into. You're not asking me to explain, but it comes down to this: that I would consider the more valuable people are the people that haven't lived yet, as to oppose that the people who are already big and fat and ate so much he let himself get that fat. I'd rather save the people that haven't lived yet. It comes down to that.
Okay, so quick judgment call, right? Like what this guy do with his life, and do they still got a good life coming?
Right. I would throw all the scenarios in my head, what and why and how and why would you do that in just a couple of seconds. And I've been doing things like that all my life, Richard. I call it winging it, but my winging is just different. There are choices that I have to make. If you don't make these choices, something's gonna go bad for you, for me. So I just in split seconds, I've had to make these decisions all my life. If it was to a choice between a big fat guy who's already lived for a long time, because how did he get that fat? if he didn't eat, stuff his face, and didn't exercise. As to opposed to these people little kids that haven't lived, I'd rather save the little kids than this big fat guy right here that was smelly.
Right.
And ate too much anyways.
So, okay. So let's do another thing. Now that we got past that right there,
Okay.
because this is your show, so I'm gonna let you introduce what you believe like morals are
Okay.
to everybody listening.
I could dig that. I got some pretty good morals, that I think anyways.
And what would those be like?
You want me to give you an example?
Yeah, an example.
Here's an example. Richard, we were coming back from a party, right? Everybody was pretty fucked up, drunk, off the hard liquor. Okay? And we were driving, and there was this girl. She was my friend's girlfriend, though. She was passed out, drunk. She didn't know who touched her. And so you got all these 5 guys touching on her tits and between her legs. But it was my friend's girlfriend. These are the morals that I'm talking about. And I told him, hey, you know what? That's my friend's girlfriend right there. And your guy's friend's girlfriend, too. You're going to stop doing what you're doing right now, man. They go, she don't know. She's drunk. It's your turn. I go, I'm not going to have a turn. And you guys are going to stop doing what you're doing right now. I'm going to beat the fuck out of all 5 of you. They go, there's 5 of us. I go, well, what do you want to get beat up at? Right here in the car? Or you want to stop the car and have a chance at least out of the car? Because you're not going to have a chance in the car. So I shouldn't be telling you what your better chances are, but you're just going to stop doing what you're doing. And they stopped it. Those are the morals that I grew up with. I don't believe in stuff like that. If you can get women, you can. If you can't, you can't. There's no reason to wait till some girl is passed out, drunk, doesn't know what's going on, throwing up, and you're touching on her boobs and between her legs, because that's the only way you can get girls. Cop a feel when she's not passed out. But you're not going to do that in front of me.
So where did you get your morals? You weren't just born with them, right? I mean,
well,
somebody.
I can't explain that one.
Them, right?
Well, I can in a roundabout way because, Richard, I used to like the Super Friends, Batman, Robin, Aquaman, the Hulk, and they used to help people that they would show up and people that were getting beat up by a bunch of people or by somebody a lot stronger than them. And then they used to help that person. So I grew up with those morals, helping people that couldn't help themselves and that were getting picked on. And I grew up knowing how to fight pretty good and defend myself. And I knew when I got into those situations that I could walk my tongue, I could back it up.
So you felt like a superhero.
So I did a few times.
So you learned your morals from superheroes?
Well, I like what they stood for. I like the moral of the story, what they stood for. They're make-believe. They're cartoon characters, action figures. But I liked what they stood for. When I seen it, I thought, you know what, I like that, man. They're helping people that can't help themselves. And then these other people knew when they confronted those other people that they couldn't help themselves. So I'm taking that confidence from those people and giving them a piece of humble pie, putting them in their place like they did those people. Like this. There was a guy downtown, I'll give you a quick example. There was a guy downtown, older guy, and there was a bunch of kids, Mexican kids. And the guy was talking in another language, not Spanish, like Russian or something like that, but raising his voice, yelling at him. And it was at the bus terminal. And I went there, I catch the bus there sometimes, so I seen it. And they were just kids. He was a grown man. So I walked over there to see what was going on. And the bus lady at the terminal was already calling the cops. And I thought, wow, those are kids, and I contemplate with myself. Those are kids. That's a grown man right there yelling at them and raising his voice and moving his hands around like aggressively. I know what aggressive movements are because I've been around them all my life. So I told the old man, I walked over there and I confronted the old man and I said, hey, you know what? Those are kids right there. They're minors. They're little kids. And you're going to stop doing what you're doing right now. You should know better. And he just looked at me and just to let the kids know I meant what I was saying. But I know I could. I looked at the guy and I go, what? And he goes, and all the kids started laughing. I go, look, you're going to stop yelling at these kids right now? These are girls. There's like 3 or 4 girls here. You're going to stop doing what you're doing right now or I'm going to beat the shit out of you. You should know better. You're a grown up. You're an adult. These are kids. What's wrong with you, man? He started going, like, understanding what I was saying. Instead of getting mad and hitting him or anything, I wanted him to understand where I was coming from. So then he started shaking his head like he agreed. I go, then you need to stop doing what you're doing. These are little kids right here. Stop what you're doing right now. You should know better. And he started going, like, shaking his head like he understood. And then he stopped. So those are my morals, Richard. That was my explanation of what, two explanations I gave you there of my morals and what I believe in. And I liked what the Super Friends stood for, even though there was cartoons or, fictional characters.
Yeah.
But I liked the moral of the story, what they stood for, helping other people that couldn't help themselves, weaker than the person that was trying to pick on them. And so I grew up like that. That's how I grew up, with those points of views.
Okay.
But I was also showing examples from my family members, and I had some strong family members of how to handle any and all situations. I came from, I was raised like that. And I did just that when I went to the prison. I had to do that.
So you didn't just get your morals just from cartoons, you got your morals
From my family,
from everyone, but
my family never
cartoons
said anything
kinda
unless they did it. They never talked to talk. They always walked their talk. And that's the part that I got from them. I knew that I could back myself up when I was saying these things to these people. I know what to do and how to do it because of my family. So I got the morals from watching these superheroes, which were fictional, because nobody could fly like Superman, but I liked what they stood for. I really liked that. And in the 60s, you would say I really dug the scene of what they stood for, helping other people that couldn't help themselves. So I grew up like that in a sense. I don't like cops, but we need them. Otherwise, things would be all crazy around here. We wouldn't be able to sleep at night without somebody breaking into our house, without somebody breaking into our garage, without somebody hurting our sister, our mom, or our niece. So we need them. Because I thought before, fuck this, I'm moving out here, there's too many cops. But would I rather be in a place where there's no cops and I got to worry about defending myself and have to go to defend myself in court for hurting somebody? Or breaking into my house or my yard, stealing stuff from my house or my garage, if there was no cops. So we do need cops, no matter how you look at it. Would you rather be in like somewhere where there's no cops and have to protect yourself and your mom and your sisters? Just think about that. Or would you rather be here in Napa where we're protected? Okay, I'm not gonna drink coffee or tea with cops, but we need them. I come to the conclusion that we do need them to keep things in order, or things would be crazy around here like they were in Vallejo when the police force went bankrupt. You heard gunshots every night. I used to hear about it. We're hearing gunshots because they knew they'd get away with a lot of stuff because there was no police force. They were bankrupt.
Right.
So I'd rather have it protected like it is here in Napa than live somewhere where it's lawless.
I can respect that. I gotta say I agree. I think I agree. I hate to say it because
right, but
we got did fucking dirty by the cop.
I try to explain it in a way that everybody could understand and see themselves in one position or in a position where it's protected or a position where you're not protected. Because I thought about it, I couldn't stand cops at first. I knocked my first cop out when I was 16. He tried to rough me up back in the 60s. They used to do that, rough people up. And I used to live with my Aunt Lucy, and he brought me home. And he said, we're going to put more charges on this guy. My Aunt Lucy said, okay, what happened again? And the guy goes, well, this happened. Then we kicked this fucking ass, two or three of us. And my aunt goes, okay, you put more charges on my nephew, and I'll sue your fucking ass. You just told me twice you assaulted a minor. And they go, oh, okay, you don't sue us, and we won't put more charges. She goes, well, you're the one that said you're going to put more charges. She used to protect me all the time. And if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be in a lot more trouble than I ever was. She had my juvenile record erased. That I knocked an adult cop out when I was 16. He tried to assault me, and I defended myself and knocked him out. Even though I don't remember. The judge was going, do you even remember knocking this guy out? And I go, no. And he goes, okay, whether you were drunk or not, we still have to put charges on you, but we're going to take it easy on you because you were drunk. And I go, well, you know, I defend myself. He had to have been trying to hurt me or pull my hair or twist my arm or choke you with what they do without.
This is obviously back when you had hair.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so look, we got a second dilemma here. We're gonna
Okay.
run through. Just see what would you do? But since there's a it's one about so
Aunt Lucy used to have a lot of money. She was real protective.
so there's a town. There's like a perfect town, right? It's the most perfect place you could think of, but in one of the town's homes.
In this town, they wouldn't play Duck Duck Goose or Ring Around Rosie.
Well, it'd be whatever you think is the most perfect town. This is it. But in this town, right, in one of the homes,
Right.
in a dark, cold basement, there's a little malnourished kid, right, not getting fed. He's like chained up to a wall, whatever the shit, right? And he's been in there so long, he barely can remember what sun looks like or his mom's voice and all this, right? He's been there for a long time. And he's yelling, let me out, let me out, right? He's asking people to let him out. Except that no one will let the kid out because having the kid in there is what allows everyone to be happy. So if the kid comes out, the town doesn't become perfect anymore, right? It falls apart. As long as the kid is in that basement, stuck in there, you live in the town and you love it. You're like, man, it's the perfect town, right? All the hottest broads.
Right.
Everything's going down, right? You got 10 of your favorite car. I mean, it's just perfect.
Right.
Would you let the kid out and ruin all your favorite good stuff?
Richard. Yes, the answer is yes. I would let that kid out.
I figured you'd say that.
No,
I
would
figured you'd
because
say that, right? Yeah, it's the right thing, right?
I don't like people ganging up on one person or to be
Bless you.
popular, like thank you, or for any reason, thank you, or for any reason to single one person out. I never have liked that. And
But I mean, but what if it's the thing that made them happy? Like having that
matter.
kid in
And I
there
take
made
that
them
away
happy.
from and I would only have one person to answer to, whether they came at me with knives or guns after that. The only person that I would have to answer to would be God. And if I didn't let that little kid out, then I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror, Richard, as a man.
You wouldn't be able to have fun no more.
I'd be
Love
looking at
that
myself
town.
in the mirror and I would see a coward that didn't help, somebody that needed help.
So let me relate this.
And I'm not going to look at myself as a coward. So I would let that kid out.
So take that story, right, and turn that into real life.
Right.
You have cell phones. You have the coolest clothes, right? We won't name any brands, but you got the coolest clothes. You got I don't know, whatever the hell else they make in other countries. The people here have, they think is the greatest.
Right.
But they got these sweatshops with kids working in them. They're not getting any pee breaks. So it kind of is like in a relation, right? Like you got these kids who are living real shitty and having a bad life, like that kid in the basement. But it creates things that makes people over here really happy. So no one gives a shit that they're over there in that basement like that, or the sweatshop. So they're living like, yay, dancing around. What do? People here, they just continue living. They're like, well, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about that kid in Afghanistan that's getting blown up because we need their oil or whatever the case may be, In real life, we kind of already
I
have
think
that.
a lot of that's going on already.
Yeah, and nobody cares, right? Because we still have our cell phone. And everyone says, well, I just won't think about those kids over there because, well, I can't think about it. I'm happy here. I got my phone. I got my car, my gasoline, my cool clothes.
Well, Richard,
You would save this kid, but what would you do about the real ones in real life that are...
If I had the power to change any of that, and I think that's going on right now anyways, I would start out when somebody gets off drugs, I'll give you an explanation. They're not supposed to just quit because it can make them sick. They're supposed to get off it little by little. So my answer for that, my remedy would be to start helping those kids little by little, create jobs that they were still going to do because they're doing it anyways for money to live better.
Right.
It's benefiting them so they have food on their table, so they have a place to live. It is a little bit benefiting them, but they're not getting everything. They're not getting paid everything that we're supposed to get paid. So what I would do if I had the power to change that, I would make sure that those kids were a little more taken care of and saw a little more of the profits that the rest of the world was benefiting from their labor.
So I
would create a program to teach them how to save themselves and how to use the money that they're. I would make sure that I would step in, I would intervene, and say, you know what, if you guys are gonna do this, have like call it slave labor or something like that, if you're gonna continue to do that, I'll put a stop to it, and people will start seeing it and feeling it, and not living as good as they were, and it's gonna be your fault. But I'll give you a choice. We start giving these kids a little more than you're giving them, and a roof over their head, and start putting them to little programs and where they can learn how to support themselves with a little bit more money that I'm going to make sure that they get. And only in that way will I let this continue. And as time went on, then if they were to leave more of that up to me, then I would either confront that situation or not, or just leave it in somebody else's hands.
But I mean, like in this scenario,
I would make sure that they were more taken care of if that was going to continue. It's just, there's certain things that I believe are not right or wrong to be doing, and I'll intervene. Anybody that's the wrong is getting done to. That was somebody's sister, that was somebody's daughter, somebody's niece. What if that was my sister? I'd want somebody to step in and say, stop that shit. So what if that was their sister? What if that was my mom, or and that's just the way I've always been, Richard. And
I don't know. You always protected us when we were kids
school.
too,
And that's how I've always been with you guys.
Everybody.
You guys didn't ask me to. I just heard about it. Like John and Sylvie didn't ask me to do what I did. I just did it because I know them. They're related to me. Sylvia's related to me. You're related to me. You can have my last name. My dad is your dad's brother. I remember your mom and dad making out on some old lady's lawn when Aunt Lucy told me to go get your dad from high school, and I was just barely learning how to get there. How do I get there? And she followed these 4 blocks, follow them. Okay, well then how do I get back? Follow these same 4 blocks, but because I was a little kid, I didn't know. She had to explain it to me. So I've known you guys for years. I mean, you guys are related to me. I tried to do little things like I taught you guys how to tell time. Remember that? You remember that when you lived on Bryant Street? You guys were asking, well, how do you tell time? And I showed you the clock. Well, we were looking at a clock, and I said, when that hand gets around to the other hour, it's the next hour. See how it says 1, 2, 3? And I remember explaining to you guys, when it gets to the next minute, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes after, and I explained all that. And it's the second hand. And, I did little things like that because you guys were related to me. So when I heard that you guys were getting picked on, without you guys asking me or telling me that you needed help, I just automatically was going to help you, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
Like when I went by your house and nobody was there, your dad was at work, you guys weren't there, and the cops were there, investigators. And they were out there standing like they're real big and trying to show off, standing in front of your house like this, looking at all the cars went by like, don't mess with us. And they had kicked your door in, and they had your mom and little Lucy on the ground. And I asked somebody, what's going on here, man? I had that dude Piper with me. He's all, fuck it, Robert. I'll do whatever you want to do. I had to kick these cops' ass. I hope you're not just saying. He goes, fuck it, then we'll do it then, man. He was all drunk. And I asked somebody what's going on. They said that your mom and little Lucy handcuffed and on the ground, and that your dad wasn't there and you guys weren't there. And so I told Piper, and we were right next to the cops because we stopped in the front of the house, so they came out to see what we were doing. Now, hey, you know what? If you guys don't take my little niece, that's my little niece, and my aunt off the ground, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to start beating the fuck out of you motherfuckers. And I don't give a fuck that you're cops or not. I really don't give a fuck. Never have. Somebody said they got scared and took them off the ground and unhandcuffed them. But that's how I am. You guys are my family. And I don't think of myself. I know I'm trained to know that I can do what I can walk my talk. That I can do what I say I'm going to do. And then I have the power. I don't have a gun, but I can get one. Like that would have been one of there I would have took from them. And if I would have gone that far, and did what I had to do. But it didn't go that far. They heard what I said and took your mom and sister off the ground. And that's when nobody was there, and they were walking around in front of your house like they were big shots and investigators, not cops, investigators. There's a little bit step up. ties and suits on, and
I think that's when
they had kicked your door in
I
because
think we were already all arrested, right? Me, Art, and my dad.
I think so. Yeah, you guys were in
Yeah.
jail, and so that's another reason why I got mad because they thought that they'd get away with whatever they wanted to because you guys weren't there and it was just females. So the pussies that they were trying to show off their power to females because the males weren't there. So you have my same last name, Richard. So does your sister. Until she got married, but she's the same blood. We're the same blood. Your Aunt Wendy is married to my dad's brother.
You mean my mom.
So you guys are close to me, and that's not going to happen to you. Nobody's going to start fucking with you guys, picking on you guys, beating you guys up without me getting involved. Even if you don't ask me, even if you don't want me to, I'm going to do what I want to do. Because I'm not going to let that happen.
Well, let me ask you this.
So that's what I did. I got to say it.
Do you think morals have changed in time?
That my morals have changed?
No, like society.
Well, Richard, I don't know if this has been going on and I just haven't seen it or didn't pay attention to it. Something has changed in the world because I've noticed, and these are facts. I noticed more people, and I don't know if it's always been here, but I'm noticing things now after my accident. I don't know if it's just I'm paying more attention, but I've seen more homeless people than I've ever seen, young and old, in my life, all over in the Bay Area.
Do you think that's a moral thing?
And I'm thinking, I'm guessing. I can only guess. Why didn't people's parents teach them morals, like work hard for what you want and show them that what they were doing, and instead of being friends, let me just be friends with my kids, and not teach them nothing.
Right.
That's why you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be kind of like somewhat friends, but it only goes so far. When your kids crosses a certain line and tell you something like a friend that is kind of embarrassing to you, you're supposed to step up as a parent and say, you know what, I'm not your friend. I treat you like a friend, but I'm not your friend. I'm your parent. And you do what I say when I say it. That's basically what has to happen. Yeah. Weapons. In the Bible it says, spare not the rod, like a spanking or punishment.
Right.
Lest your child grow up with a loose tongue and disrespectful. And that's true. They know about it hundreds of years ago, Richard.
Yeah, thousands.
And so, even when I was in prison, people used to tell me, "Hey, Robert, Tank, my parents must have not have loved me." And I go, "Hey, man, what makes you say something like that?" And they go, "Well, they didn't punish me for the things that I did wrong, so I ended up in here." And I go, "Oh, okay, I see what you're saying." But that don't mean they didn't love you. They just, for some reason, they didn't discipline you enough. That's all. But I don't think they wanted you to end up in here. I don't think anybody's parents did.
Well, what about so you think that might have just always been going on? It's just been getting worse? Society's been getting worse? Richard,
because I never noticed it. I never paid attention because I was always working, or I was always with my friends, drinking cold beer or at the gym. So I never paid attention. To me, these were little things because they weren't getting brought out in public like they are now. Homeless all over the world, people all over in the Bay Area, and I'm thinking young and old, people smoking, young and old, more than I've ever seen. And I've been around since the '60s, since weed was illegal and people were still smoking.
Yeah.
When a lid was a quarter and 4 fingers high, and that was the eighth of weed. But it was right on, groovy. That's deep, far out. The hippie generation was a pretty cool generation, but I don't remember seeing all the homeless people with nowhere to stay, with no jobs, on drugs, just aimless, like they don't have no direction to go in. And that could be, now that I'm saying that could be because they don't know God either. Because when you know God, He's supposed to. I've heard a guy say this before when I was in prison. Because I used to go to church every time, and I wasn't scared because I was in prison. I just have always gone to church since I was about 5. I made my first communion. I'm Catholic. Made my first communion. The Bible is like a book of instructions, and whenever I feel that we all get lost in life, we all get off the right track. The right track is just doing good things, and so I would read the Bible, and I would start seeing. I don't know if it was my conscience, or smoke weed, and I would start seeing the things that I was doing wrong. But mostly reading the Bible. When I would read the Bible, the things that I was doing wrong would go through my head, like my memory.
Let me ask you this:
everything I was doing wrong.
Do you think that the homeless people, the situation you're talking about with all the homeless people, do you think that it's not something that just started happening now as much as it might have been happening for a couple generations, and their parents didn't teach them very good because their parents didn't teach them very good, and like it kind of trickled down to a bunch of these people who are just like, fuck, whatever, man, I live on the street in the bush, like, nobody taught them how to go to work, because, I mean, we've always either seen someone going to work or been taught you should go to work,
Yeah.
Some of these people might not have been taught like that,
The trickle effect may have something to do with it. I never thought of that, Richard. That's brilliant.
Maybe trickled all the way from the 60s.
It's possible, but everybody worked.
Like, oh man, be cool.
Back then, kids worked early to help their families. Your dad was one of those people. My dad was one of those people. I went to pick grapes with them when I was younger because they had to start working when they were kids. My dad said he only went to the 7th grade because he had to work and help his family money-wise. In the old days, that was common for kids to work early to help their families out.
Yeah.
So, if it trickled down, it wasn't everybody. And I'm hoping that most of the people worked and taught their kids. And if they didn't, then that could be it, the trickle effect of something that I didn't even know was there. I just thought, as a kid, when you're a kid, your parents are your world. There's nothing else. You don't really pay attention to too many things outside of your family, outside of your parents, your mom or your dad. Only the breakfast, the dinner, the clothes that they give you, and the world, the house that they provide for you that you're living in. Only to that world do you really pay attention to. Everybody else's lives you don't really pay attention to. So in that sense, I may have missed some things, Richard. So I don't know if it was always here, or if it's a trickle effect like you're talking about.
Right.
Or if it was always here, but I'm hoping. But I just always thought that was something normal that a parent did, would teach their kids to work for what they wanted. If they want a roof over their head, they wanted things for their whatever kind of car they wanted to drive, whatever clothes they wanted to wear. I always thought that was just something that parents taught their kids.
Do you believe it's immoral to do something bad, quote unquote, for someone you love?
For or to?
Yeah, like for them. Because like, say on one hand, you say, oh man, I don't believe in stealing because that's not right. It's immoral, right? So I don't believe I would really want to do that even for someone I love if I had to, unless the scenario is just right. But I would beat up the cops and smash some people. That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So sort of weird. It's like you sort of feel like doing bad stuff is okay if you're doing it for someone you love, right?
Oh, well, it would have to be good or bad in my eyes, not in other people's eyes.
Right.
If it were important enough, then I wouldn't see their point of view. I would only see my point of view.
Okay. Now I can respect that. It makes sense. Now I was gonna ask you. My sister wrote it here. Have you ever been in a moral dilemma? Have you ever
one
been
time this girl threw me on the bed and tore my clothes off. I mean, you could say that was a moral dilemma, but I didn't know what to do. What was I gonna do? Push her away? Get off me! I just let her do what she wanted to do. That was right after my accident. I mean, she taught me a lot of things that, I thought I knew everything about women, and she was no, and no.
And no.
You don't do that way in an older woman. Older woman likes it different. You gotta turn it sideways and push it in, and turn it side the clitoris.
Yeah.
Because I was going like this, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I was just wiggling it, rubbing it real fast, and I thought I was really doing something. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Doesn't that feel good?" She goes, "No, it's not even my clitoris. That's just like a little bump right there or something." Okay. I was embarrassed. I thought I knew what I was doing, and she goes, "No. Older women like it different. Like older women don't like to be called girls; they like to be called women." I go, "Okay." Then you're teaching me a lot right now. And some old man used to tell me, "You never stop learning no matter how old you get." And he was right. I'm starting to remember all that stuff that they taught me. I mean, the things that they said, the good advice.
Yeah.
And they were all right. All the older guys were right. Like one guy told me, and I was just in Petaluma, in a 7-Eleven, he walks up to me and he goes, "Women!" And he was yelling, he goes, "You can't live with them. You can't live without them." And after, as years went by after that, he's right.
Yeah.
Another old guy, they were both about 90-something years old. And I don't know what happened. They just walked up to me in the 7-Eleven in Petaluma. He goes, "You ever figure out women? You let me know and I'll tell the rest of the fellas." I go, "Well, if you ain't done it by now, I probably ain't gonna be able to do it, but I sure will let you know." He goes, "All right then." And they walked away, just in the 7-Eleven.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up, but
That's what she said. That was kind of funny. And I told that some guy, he came, I don't even know what he said. Some old guy at the gym, and he's, "Hey, what the fuck?" And I go, "Yeah?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "That's what she said." And he couldn't stop laughing. I don't know what he said, but whatever he said, he was saying it back to himself, and just the whole time he was in the gym, in the locker room, he was just loud. He was laughing loud. And I thought, well, that's good for him. He's old and probably can't laugh too much more like that. He's laughing like a young kid right now. Whatever he said,
Right.
it had to have been something that was kind of funny when I go, "Yeah, that." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." He looked at me all mean. I go, "That's what she said." He changed his mean look. He couldn't stop laughing at that. He was like, "Yeah." I go, "That's what she said." He just started busting up laughing.
You remember that time we were working at that pallet factory and that dude with the forklift almost hit, and you go, "You better not hit me, I'm gonna fuck you up." And I started acting crazy. And I remember going,
yeah, because
fuck, man.
He should know if you're driving a forklift, you look behind you. They train you to do
Right.
that. So I knew before he almost hit me that he should have looked behind him and he should have been trained to do that.
Yeah, but you don't remember
if
what
he
you
was
told
getting
him?
close to me, he was doing it on purpose.
You don't remember what you told him?
What?
He said something smart assy to you, and you turn around.
Oh,
I thought, oh man, Robert's gonna fuck this dude up, right? I thought we're all gonna lose our jobs. Goof was there and shit. And I remember you just stood there for a long time, and I thought, what's gonna happen? And you just pointed at him. Your mustache is crooked. And he grabbed his mustache. He goes, "What the fuck?" He just drove away. You fucking killed him with some crazy ass shit. You told me your mustache is crooked. I'm like, man, it's the best comeback ever to not have to fuck somebody up. It was funny. Slick. It was good, and you fucked him up because he just it blew his mind. Nah, he thought you were gonna get crazy.
I probably didn't know it was cooking. I didn't think nobody knows. Just cut it this morning.
Yeah. That shit was badass. That was one of the baddest ass things ever.
So anyway,
we don't want to go too far up.
I was going to ask you about the supernova star and the molecules in the sky, and do you believe that we're all part of a supernova star? I made that up.
I have to leave that one for Frosty. He likes talking about supernova particles.
Okay, yeah, I heard we're all part of a supernova star. Exploded here years ago, thousands of years ago, and we're all part of it. We'll have particles in our system of a supernova star. Yeah. Richard, when I first went to San Quentin, I felt like I was in a movie, and I was the star of that movie. So I walked around like I owned the place. And it wasn't nothing but a gangster party, and I learned how to make cuisine top ramens with crab, tuna, lobster, shrimp, whatever they had in the store, clams, oysters, because I had a little bit of money, and I always had like 2-3 chicks writing me all the time, so, I lived like a king in there. Peach Kool-Aid, I never to this day, have been able to find peach Kool-Aid out here in any store.
I've never even seen peach Kool-Aid.
Me either, and I miss it, but I don't miss enough to go back. A couple times I went back.
They don't got it in there. They don't got it in there no more.
They don't?
Nah, they got nasty, like sugarless.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Kool-Aid,
that. Last time I went back with sugar, I had an E number instead of F number instead of E number.
It's gross.
E94736 was my first number, F55798 was my second number. You never forget your numbers.
Well, so what I need for you to give an outro, like, all right, thanks for listening to this episode. See you guys on the next podcast, something like that.
Okay, I'll say exactly that.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Robert Garcia, Tank, and Rich.
No, the one and only Robert
The
Garcia.
one and only Robert Garcia show, Tank, and Rich. Both last name Garcia. Recognized. And we'll see you next time. Looking forward to your questions and answering any and all questions. Questions of ladies. I mean, I don't think anybody really understands fully a lady, but I think they do.